Yo, what's good? It's Skano from the gutter. So, it was what I thought it was. I was speaking on the situation with Venezuela. Remember, about a month back, there's so-called war against the cartels, and it was what I thought it was. It's come to light. This is after the fact that, like I said, our Navy had surrounded Venezuela and had blew up a so-called drug vessel, which turned out to be just a regular fishing vessel. You know, this is this is how manipulative this government is, though. But it has come out now that the president of Venezuela has decided to relinquish control of their natural oil resources to America in order to just get them to back down. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I said, that's what it was all about, you know. So I never for a second thought this was some war on the cartels, which, like I said, our government has always been you know, intertwined with these cartels to some degree. You know what I'm saying? So this was never about the cartels. And direct proof, but so it's been an interesting week, man. You got this chat gate thing going on. Apparently, these Republicans, these young Republicans have been exposed for their racist and Nazism and just. But your Vice President J.D. Vance says that it's just boys being boys. Nothing to see here. Kids will be kids. Never mind. These are grown adults. But like I said, I noticed something though. When we discuss things of this nature, as far as white folks, when they get caught up in some shit, 20, 30 years old, they are kids, right? But they will and have prosecuted black kids as young as 9, 10 years old, prosecuted them as adults in this country routinely, you know. And but these are just kids being kids. So you got all these protests going on, and No Kings protests, and record number of protesters showed up, Saturday. Over 7 million plus. Would have been more from what I understand. That's excluding the people that couldn't attend, people that are disabled, the elderly, woo woo. Could have been well over 10 million plus people, and I see different commentary, on social media coming from other countries, Switzerland, Australia, European countries where, they're praising these protesters and patting them on the head. This is the America we remember, and this is the America we love, and never mind that this is the America that voted for this dude too. So, but Trump is crashing out, because he hates to be, he hates to have a mirror. You can't oppose this dude in any way. He can't have any type of, intelligent debate. Any opposition is to be crushed, and that's what a dictator is. That's what a dictator does. And make no mistakes, this dude does see himself as a dictator. That's what he is, I mean, he said he's not leaving office until he dies, But that can be made to happen. But so what is he doing? He's crashing out, tweeting, memeing. Dude sends out a meme where he's in an airplane flying overhead of American citizens, protesters, woo woo, with a crown on his head, while dropping shit on them. Literally, dropping shit on the heads of the American public. This is your president. I think this dude is the most demented, embarrassing, ignorant piece of shit ever to to obtain office, by far. And I'm not saying from a morality standpoint, past presidents, have a leg up on them, but at least they carry themselves with a certain, amount of decorum or, professional. This dude is an embarrassment, and he's a sociopath, as this administration is, And I'm not saying it's just strictly the right, On the left side, too. I think they're all sociopaths, man. And what they do is just use propaganda and these different talking points to divide and manipulate the American public. It's the blacks' fault. It's the Latinos' fault. It's the white folks, Really, it largely is the white folks, but, it's the same old game plan. So, this never could have happened, though, and this is the harsh truth of the matter. The fact that there were over 2 million black folks in this country that voted for him, for whatever your agenda was, and the Latinos, the African immigrants, and immigrants in general that voted for this clown. He never would have got, and we must add in people like me who didn't vote at all. I have to share some culpability too. This is how he was able to pull a woo-woo and get into office. This is how. So he played on people's primal prejudices, which is the same old game plan. Like I said, using white America's primal fear of losing control, Let's place the blame on the blacks. It's the immigrants. Same old game plan. And a lot of poor, ignorant white folks fell for the woo-woo. Let's be honest, man. Y'all like to consider yourself the most sophisticated, intelligent demographic on the face of the earth. In large part, for the most part. White American voters are some of the most uninformed, misinformed, just flat out ignorant people on the face of the planet. You are. A lot of y'all don't be knowing shit about what's going on out here politically. You don't care, really, as long as, your agenda is being pushed. As long as your pocket's right, you know what I'm saying? And as long as you got somebody that you can look down on and shit on, like Trump is shitting on y'all now, But I said this what happened. I said, once the poor white Americans, once y'all wake up and realize what's really going on, they was going to come for Trump. I said this. So the very same people that voted for this clown, and was ready to run up in, that literally ran up in the White House to string up Biden and the Democratic administration, gonna be the very same people looking for Trump ass. It's gonna be another insurrection, because ain't nothing more dangerous in this country than poor white Americans when they back against the wall. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, while they talk about inner city criminality, nothing more dangerous than, a poor white person when the pressure is on. Because they turn on every damn body, including their own. And it's just the truth. So, it is what it is at this point. So, I'm going to have to take my own advice. I'm going to have to show up. We have to, as FBAs, we have to show up at the polls. We have to. Economic, power is one thing, being able to boycott, ban certain corporations or, but at the end of the day, until we have political power in this country, nothing will ever change from our standpoint. I'm saying as FBAs, other minorities too. So y'all go ahead, drink up the Kool-Aid, you know what I'm saying, which y'all already done, but now y'all seeing what it really is. So, like I said, while they spend billions actually, on the military for what? We already got, the biggest military. We got nukes out the ass. We got a military presence in every damn part of this world that matters on a political scale. Spending billions per year for the space program. that should have been disabled decades ago, really, you want to be honest, to scout other planets to colonize. This just waste money. We spend billions to keep Argentina's government running, but they about to cut off millions of people from SNAP. And call me a pessimist, man, or a cynic, but I do believe that is largely to target, black folks and other people, other minorities in this country. But make no mistakes, it's a lot of white folks on welfare. It's a lot of white folks that receive SNAP benefits, Medicaid, and like I said, when they get to rattle in the cage, you know what I'm saying? So while things were peaceful, at these No Kings protests, for the most part, like I said, no arrests made, that will quickly change, because like I said, as the pressure mounts, but like I said, FBAs, we've been adapting to this shit since forever, so it's just like, to us, it's just another rainy season. But you're going to see a lot of weak-minded, a lot of, I do believe things are going to get even more increasingly chaotic. So, like I said, Trump doesn't ever plan on leaving office while he's alive. But if things continue down the path they on, you going to leave, alive or not alive. Trust me. No ops left Scano. You already know.